So what we're going to do is we're going to be covering 13 marketing tips for this calendar year. So Kenton and I are going to be going back and forth a little bit. To manage your expectations, we're hoping to get done around 40 minutes. Any questions you may have, we're happy to answer them at the end. If you could, just go ahead and chat to me or Kenton, and that will ensure we get them all covered. So what is a marketing strategy? A marketing strategy really is a puzzle, and it can be a lot of fun, and it doesn't need to be burdensome, but there is a process to everything. And when you think of a puzzle, each piece is relative to each other, and there is a certain flow of putting together the puzzle. And it always starts with your market dynamics. Really, what is your location, your landscape? What are the key drivers in your area? And then as a small business owner, you always have the choice of deciding which patients you want to serve. And in marketing lingo, that's called a segment. And then as you go to the next piece, how do patients choose your dentist? And then how can you impact their decision relative to the services that you offer within your, from your team and in your location? And then specifically, what needs are you addressing? And then how do you select messages to get these target customers satisfied into your practice? This, by far, is one of our favorite slides of all of our presentations. This is not our idea of strategy. And as you can see there, I think you need to be more explicit here in step 2. Then a miracle occurs. Marketing is all about planning. It's about trying different things to get your patients into your practice and getting your patients to talk about you, their friends and family. So there's a big difference between advertising and marketing. So advertising is simply stating your message. In this example, orange juice, $2.99. This would be very akin to the fact if you were to put dentist on your signage. But marketing is specifically defining the value of what you provide in ways that make customers want to come back to your practice and to use you as their primary healthcare provider when it comes to their dental needs. So as you see in this example, the marketing here of orange juice of $2.99 is really fresh, squeezed, organic, thirst-quenching orange juice for $2.99. And really the coup de grace of everything is the branding. And branding is your marketing message or promise attached to a specific name. Your brand is embodied by everything you and your team do. And you'll see a lot of the marketing tips that we're going to be covering tonight are specifically branding related. So again, marketing involves listening to, understanding your patient base, leveraging that information into the value service, and at the core, marketing is about informing as many people as you can about what you do. There's nothing dirty about marketing. There's a definite difference between marketing and sales. And to effectively manage your marketing, you need to know who you're going to tell, what are you going to tell them, when are you going to tell them, how are you going to tell them, and ideally, what will be the measurable outcomes. We have a good saying here at Solace, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. And having that data is just going to make you a much more effective marketer. And it doesn't need to be sophisticated, but it is, and it doesn't need to be reviewed every day, but it is nice to have that benchmark to know what are your marketing efforts and how are they paying for themselves. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and turn it back over to Kenton.
So tip number 1 is brand your email. And this is a pet peeve of mine. And I went through kind of a random selection of about 100 emails from our client database. I'm not going to mention any names. 79 of the 100 had a generic name. So it was like and this is actually one of the email addresses in our database, the tooth fixer at AOL.com, spelled the numeral 2 TH, fixer. So one of our recommendations, one of our marketing tips is to brand your email, because this is one of the things your patients see, or if it's on your business card, this is a great place to start your branding. And so we would recommend you do some sort of format that's consistent throughout your team. And what we use at Newcom is first name dot last name at in our case, newcom.com, but it would be yourdomain.com. That consistency is one of the things of branding. It's frequency of touch and consistency of message. So one of the things we would highly recommend is that you set up and if you have to, if you handle your website in-house, whoever handles that will be able to set up a forwarding domain. And if not, just call your website or your webmaster, and they can easily set up a forwarding address. It won't cost much. It takes about literally 45 seconds to do it. So that's one thing that we would highly recommend. Then we would recommend you issue each team member a personal email with that same format, either first.last@yourdomain.com, or you can do first initial last name. But however you do it, we would recommend that you do it consistently throughout, so everybody has the same kind of format. That's all part of branding. One of the advantages of running all of your email through your personal domain is that if you ever change your internet service provider, then all you have to do is change that forwarding address. Now, if you have an email on your business cards and your website, like toothfixer@AOL.com, if you ever switch from AOL or whoever your service provider is, then you've got to go back and reprint everything. Now, I came out of the auto industry, actually, several years ago, and one of these shops that I worked with consulting for them had an employee that was using their personal email address for all of their communications with the clients. And this employee didn't work out. They had to be fired. And this employee had all of the contacts for that auto repair shop in their personal contact database. And they unfortunately sent out a very derogatory email. So that's one reason that if you do have a staff member that leaves or has to be gone for a while for personal reasons, you can disable their email, or you can forward their email address to another team member to handle that while they're absent. So that's a really important thing for branding and protecting your brand. So tip number 2 is to claim and manage your Google Plus page. Now, this is something we could probably spend an hour or two on a separate webinar, and if there's demand for that, we can certainly do it. Your Google Plus page, and I'm looking at this from the customer or the patient's viewpoint. So if I am sitting here, if I have a toothache, I'm new to town, and I don't know anybody really, and I'm looking for a dentist to solve my problem, I guarantee the first thing I'm going to do is go to Google. Now, Google is a massive enterprise, but they have something called the Google Plus page. It's called the local page. And when you Google, for instance, if you're looking for a periodontist in Overland Park, and that's the example I have here, and I'll pull up this example, show you. This is a good example of somebody who manages their Google Plus page really nicely. So this is just a screenshot I took of typing in periodontist, and in the location I put Overland Park, where I live. So I'm going to scroll down through this list here, and you'll see that most of these are completely blank. Some of them have an at a glance or a little bit of description, but all of these that are blank have basically not been claimed by the dentist. So they're just empty shells, really. Now you go down through these, and you'll see some of these have a score on them. For instance, this one has a score of 23. Now, Google uses a new algorithm to score reviews that they get, and that's called the Zagat score. The perfect score is a 30. So I'm going to go back up here to the top and show you Overland Park Smiles, Dr. Dick Willits. He has a perfect score of 30 with 17 reviews. Now, if you click on his link there, it pulls up a beautiful layout. It's got a picture of his building. It's got, I'm not sure if he's filled out the about, or here's the photos page. It's got nice shots in there of the office. And then you go down through the reviews. There are 17 reviews, and they're basically, I think it's 1, 2, or 3 that you can vote for several different aspects of the practice. So if you read down through these, and I'm not going to go go down through them extensively, but these are people who actually had the experience, the patient experience in the office, and then they got on Google and wrote a review about it. If you want to send a link, for instance, in a follow-up email to a patient who's visited your practice, and they've had a good experience there and you'd like them to write a review, what you can do is simply copy this URL up above. You just hit Control-C, you copy it, and you put it in a hyperlink. And then when you send them an email, it will bring them right to your page, and there's this big blue button that says Write a Review. And if they've had a good experience, chances are, a lot of people won't, but many people will return the favor for their good experience and write you a great review. Now, it's going to require about 10 reviews to get a Zagat score. Let me go back to the slides here, and I'll show you somebody who is not managing their Google Plus page very well. Again, this is from the patient's. One of the big things about marketing that we're going to go through, we're trying to get across tonight, is you have to look at it and step into the patient's shoes. If you've got a toothache, if you're estranged, if you're new to town, and you don't know very many people, where are you going to go to find a dentist? You're going to go to Google. You're going to Google dentist in Overland Park or something like that. And you better believe that it's going to come up with these reviews. And if you're on there with negative reviews, this person doesn't have a score yet because they don't have enough reviews. They've only got 5. I'm going to take just a moment, and I think I can zoom in here. I'm going to share this one with you. Do not go here. My daughter, age 12, needed several baby and permanent teeth pulled prior to braces. Once the procedure was through, I was escorted to a recovery room. I use that term loosely, where she was still completely under sedation. They transferred her from a wheelchair to a lazy boy with no one there to help. I was put in charge of her for the next few hours. I am not a nurse by any means. I had no help whatsoever and tried calling for assistance once my daughter started slipping out of the chair and choking. I was told very abruptly not to yell so loud so others in the waiting room would not hear me. It was a nightmare. I was told by other doctors, blah, blah, blah. I hated that day. That's an example of someone, and this person, when you look here, it's an unclaimed page. So when it's unclaimed, that doctor is not being informed when a review is posted on him. So this is a really important thing for us all to know, that these people are posting reviews, and you need to be aware of what they're saying about you, because if you look down through these, and I read through all of these, and they're almost all pretty negative. So that's something to be really aware of. If you haven't claimed your page, it's very simple to do. They mail you a postcard, and you respond with a little PIN number. It's safe that way so that nobody else can claim your page or claim it fictitiously. So that's the Google page. We can do a whole separate webinar on that for sure. It's on Manage Your Online Reputation. And I put this little graphic in here, blah, 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 your name, blah, 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 blah. So there's a great way in Google, and we can go through this at a later time, or if you would like to know how to do it, you can certainly contact us. You can just email support@newcom.com, and we'd be happy to walk you through how to do it. I'm not going to go through it here. But in Google, there's a way to set real-time alerts for your personal name and also your practice name. And the Google bots basically scan the universe of Google and everything online, and when somebody posts something with your practice name or your personal name, it will send you an immediate alert through your email. So another thing we could certainly recommend is to occasionally Google your practice. Just put in the practice name or your personal name to see what the contents on page 1 are. Because if you have a referral, I can virtually guarantee that they're going to put your practice into Google. And you'll never hear from the people who Google you and don't contact you. They're not going to call you and say, I read a bad review about you and I'm not coming today. So this is really important to keep an eye on. If you don't think first impressions are important to referrals, or that potential referrals don't Google your practice before contacting your practice, you are mistaken. People are very savvy. They do this on their smartphones these days. So treat your practice like a patient would, and just check yourself out once in a while. Okay, number 4. This is one I'm real keen on. Is use real photos versus stock photos. And iStock Photo has got tons of, they probably have several hundred dentistry pictures. But this is one that really stood out for me. This is a practice up in Casper, Wyoming, I believe. But this is their homepage, and they put this really beautiful family picture of themselves. And it's a husband and wife dental clinic up there. It's their 2 kids on the front cover of the page. And just really sweet. I mean, I really enjoyed looking at this. So here's an example of stock photos. You can see the difference here. And I don't know about you, but I can sure tell that that's probably a model. So number 5, leverage the About page. I've done quite a bit of studying on statistics of what people click on. And the About page for any practice, or about the practice, about the doctors, about the team, is the most frequently clicked page of anything on your website. Services, it's pretty much going to be the same for most dental practices, what you offer. But when they want to learn about you and learn about your practice philosophy, they're going to click on the About page. So there's 3, I kind of laid out these 3 different stick figures, and I hate to claim authorship on these, but so anyway, I will. So this is about me, and that's good. They want to know about you. But the next kind of level of this is about us. It's about the team. It's about our practice. It's about our philosophy and how we treat you as a patient. But even better than that is about you. So one example I could give of this is all about you. And we're here as a team to support you in getting the best dental health care you can get. We're interested in your comfort. We're interested in your satisfaction. But it's not about me. It's not about us. It's all about you. So I'd recommend taking a good look at your About page and see kind of what message it portrays. Got a couple of examples. I don't know if David's on tonight, but this is one of our clients, David Little. You may know him. And there's a little thing about our dentist here. I'll scroll down here. This is a great personal story. It doesn't have a lot about his dental education or things. It starts out as a small child. I loved working with my hands in my father's custom boot company. This love, coupled with an inherited desire to help others, led me to pursue a doctorate degree in dentistry. That's a great About Me page. Go back here. Now, these are 2 other examples I pulled up. And this one's interesting. This is about me done the wrong way. So when you go to the web page of this Randy McCormick, you go to meet the staff, and you're expecting to meet the whole staff, but there's no staff. There's an office tour, which has some shots of the office, and then there's meet Dr. McCormick. And it's all about his background and everything else, but there's nothing about the team or anything. So I thought that was kind of curious. So I put it up there. Now this is another example that I put on here, which this is the About Dr. Simon page. And this is his education, his honors and awards, his certification, what he's doing at present, his teaching history, and all of the publications he's published and all of the lectures he's ever given. And absolutely nothing about what he enjoys doing when he's not doing dentistry. It kind of seems like he's looking for a job. I'm not sure. But so anyway, it's really, if you look at it from the patient point of view, most people don't care about all your honors and awards, your teaching certificates, your publications, and your lectures. They want to know about you as a person and what you stand for, what you're here for. So that's another example. Tip number 6, spread the word. This one's really simple. It's a great quote that we love from P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus. Without promotion, something terrible happens. Nothing. This is the message you want to spread. We love you. Tell a friend, here's a card. And for the Solace team, we've gone to really great efforts with not in-house teams, but outside teams to design specific marketing cards. I think most of you have seen these, but this is, I'll just scan through a couple of these, but feels like this is the dental surgery version. This is the lighter version. Got Nervous versus Nirvana. And this is one of my favorites. I'll blow this up. Your path to relaxation begins with Newcom. And then you turn it over on the back, and it's just Newcom, all natural relaxation, a little bit about the components, and 4 simple steps to relaxation. Newcom today and get the restoration your body needs. So that's number 6. Just spread the word. And that can be as simple. We had one conference call we did where we were talking about it can be as simple as turning your business card over and handwriting on the back, free Newcom session for a friend, and giving it to the patient and letting them give it to somebody they really love and care about. So it does not have to be really, fancy like our postcards are. It can be just as simple as writing on the back of a card. This is one of my favorites, and I'll tell you a little story. When I was in the automotive industry, I was consulting with one of our shops, and he said, what's the best way to spread the word about my practice or to find out how to get better clients? And I kind of casually mentioned, well, why don't you just take your favorite client out to lunch and ask them, because I don't know. You're in a different community, you have a different target market that you're working with. So this became the ultimate lunch and learn. But we would recommend maybe once a month picking one of your favorite clients, somebody you really love. That's why the halo is around her head. And just take them out to lunch, or her or him out to lunch, and treat them at their favorite restaurant, preferably not yours. And just ask them a simple question: how can I serve you better? This auto shop repair owner invited one of his favorite clients to lunch and asked her just that question: how can I serve you better? And you're my ideal client. How do I find more of you? It turned out that the lady that he invited to lunch was the president, which he didn't know, of the American Business Women's Association in the town. This happened to be Chicago. They had, I think, over 1,200 members, and she posted to the blog a little piece about how wonderful this auto repair shop was and how she went there herself, and they treated her great. It got him a ton of business, and with one simple question: how do I find more people like you? So I'd ask the question, how many people have been invited to lunch by a doctor and asked for their advice? And I would venture to say 0. Number 8, use a secret shopper. So have a colleague or a person that you really trust call or visit your office and give you an honest critique of how their call or visit was handled by the team. And believe me, I make hundreds of calls every month into dental offices, and we've seen the entire gamut from really garbled music on hold to just dead silence. And on the positive side, I've heard some just brilliant messaging, and I think that's the next point here. How do you handle your hold time? That's dead air time if you don't have a message on hold. It could be definitely used to educate your caller about other services you offer, maybe Invisalign or Zoom whitening or Newcom. And if you do this, I would recommend that you don't use professional voiceover talent. I'd recommend the doctor or the front desk or the front office manager record it in their voice, because then when they come into the office, they'll recognize that voice and go, oh, I heard you on hold. Or they might not remember, but it'll connect at an emotional level where they say, well, I feel comfortable in this office. Have your team participate by recording a segment about their unique talents. That could be put on a message on hold, or it could also be put on your website. Pay it forward close to home. This is a really profound marketing and branding strategy, not for the marketing and branding, but for the return on investment. We have a few recommendations. I'll pull them all up here. This is based on something the Crown Council does. Donate a month's proceeds from whitening service or another service to your local charity. And keep it close to home. I mean, you don't have to do it to a national charity. You can do it to a charity that's local to your community. Offer free dental services to those who need dental care but can't afford it. One of the really profound services I think that you could offer is domestic violence. Now, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like 78% of the people who were victims of domestic violence suffered some sort of dental injury. So that's certainly a place you could do a lot of good. This is one of my favorite quotes, and this is from Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Blah, 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 snore. You can teach them, show them, what you're trying to tell them. You can use graphics for this. You can use little sketches or whatever, but try to teach them or show them in some way. And then the third way, which we would give an A+, is to involve them in the decisions about their treatment plan. Now, one of the things we might recommend is consider investing in a high-resolution digital SLR camera. They have something called a ring light, which is really good for doing dental photography, or other imaging equipment to involve your patient in their treatment plan. A lot of times it's just this first section here, you're telling them what's wrong, but they can't see it, they can't really grasp it because they don't never look in their own mouth. So to actually involve them in digital photographs and showing them exactly what you're seeing is a brilliant way to involve them in the treatment. Patient pre-call, and I know a lot of our people are doing this. It's a brilliant strategy for just connecting with people. Late afternoon or after hours, take a few minutes. It doesn't take long. Maybe make a 30-second call to a new patient or to a favorite patient and do a little pre-call and just say, welcome, we're thrilled to see you tomorrow. We appreciate you trusting us for your dental care, and we'll look forward to seeing you. And I did the drawing on the right because I think most people would be blown away by that gesture, to get a call from the doctor himself or herself and say, we're looking forward to seeing you. For new patients, when they arrive, if possible, take a moment to come out front and greet them in the reception area. This is also true for your favorite patients or any patients. Come out once in a while and just say hi and show yourself. This will also dramatically reduce last-minute cancellations, especially for new patients. Number 12, manage your stress. If possible, let each team member use Newcom at least once a week to manage their stress and live better, healthier lives, both at work and at home. Tip number 13, pick one of the tips and do it. Another one of our favorite quotes, Albert Einstein, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And another, which is a great quote, action speaks louder than words, but not nearly as often. So with that, Chris, I'm going to hand it back over to you. We're going to pass it off again.
All right, thanks, Kenton. So we are definitely on the home stretch here. So everything about marketing, again, is letting your target customers know what you do and figuring out how to get to them in a way that's going to be very interesting and relevant to them. But at the end of the day, as a professional, you market your practice to grow your business, right? So you want to grow your practice. And just a quick note, you'll see a lot of stick figures in our presentation. I went to a seminar a couple weeks ago, and one of the keynote speakers in it was visual learning, and the gentleman, Dan Rome, talked about how as humans we learn and pick up really just an exponential amount more information through visualizations, especially, believe it or not, when they're hand-drawn figures. So this next piece, it's a bit busy, but let me walk you through this for home stretch. So where does my new growth come from? So you got your current production, and it's either from the holy grail of new patients It's from adding a new service, or it's getting your patients to say yes. And I know we have the pleasure of having Dr. Omer Reed tonight, so I'm going to quote him. So many of you are file cabinet millionaires. So it's a way of turning that file cabinet millionaire into real money, and most importantly, getting those patients' dental health to where it really needs to be. So you can choose to do all three of these. You can choose to do all one. But when it comes to marketing, new patients is all the buzz. And typically 70% of a general dentist practice, those new patients come from your current patients. So when you're talking about building your brand and you're talking about marketing, what wow are they talking about? And when you're talking about all the tips that Kenton already reviewed with Google+, you want to give them an opportunity to set you and your team apart. So you really got to decide, even to point number 13 and picking one, figure out what are the one or two things that where you really want to differentiate yourself, so when a patient does come in and leave, you're giving them that impression and you're getting your whole team behind it. Then when you're doing your outbound marketing, where about 30% of your new patients come from, what are you doing to differentiate your practice, and how are you getting that message out, and how are you reinforcing it? And then when you're adding a new service, you want it to be a good return on investment, you want it to be easy to integrate, but you also want that service to be really relevant to what your patients want. And these days with wellness and them taking care of themselves, and the fact that they're much better educated, they're coming in expecting you to be a leader with your services. And then increasing the case acceptance, you've got fear, cost, and time. Do you have something for all your patients? Of course, you guys all have NewCalm in your arsenal, so you do have something that you can offer them. And in financing, and in how can you get this done in as minimal business as possible? So when you have an opportunity to touch all three, especially with your marketing, consistent marketing, you can really maximize your production. So patients' perspective, and Kenton mentioned this before, walking in your clients and your customers and your patients' shoes is best, and it's something we constantly are trying to do at Solace with NewCalm. And with your patients, they want comfort, they want care, and they want to get in and out. So what do they want, and what are you offering? And about a third are fine with their comfort and care. And then the point I wanted to get across here for those of you who are just using NewCalm, NewCalm can be used with oral conscious sedation and also nitrous. So you're able to really give your patients a high level of comfort no matter if they want a pharmaceutical as part of the mix or not. And why is that patient? Why is it really important for them to be as comfortable as possible in your chair? And patients hear, but are they really listening? And here is just a flow chart of hygiene where a lot of your treatment plans are derived, and at the end of a 60 to 75-minute visit, when a patient is stressed and tired and they want to leave, their attention span is the least. So we know a lot of our key commanding clients who are really driving new patient growth with NewCalm have incorporated hygiene and NewCalm into their hygiene, especially for those longer procedures. So that concludes tonight's 13 marketing tips for 2013. We hope you have enjoyed listening to them as much as Kenton as I enjoyed putting them together for you tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night.